Okay, we're going to go over the lesson 8 practice problems that is over solving systems of equations. But like we just talked about in the note video, we're not going to cover the substitution method today. We may come back to that later. We are just going to focus on the elimination method. So you are going to shift your focus to just numbers 9 through 16. Okay, so let's try this out here. And remember, there are several ways to do these problems, so you could do it a different way than me and still get the same answer, and that is totally fine. So let's take a look at number 9 first off here. So we know in order to solve these, they have to, one, be lined up, which they are, or this one is anyway, and then you have to decide if you're going to add or subtract the equations. So that's what you really have to think about with this one. Now, if I take a look at this, I notice right away I have a 3x and a 3x. So my eye goes to those and wanting to somehow cancel those. So is the best way to cancel them by adding them or subtracting them? Well, it's not by adding them, right? If you do 3x plus 3x, that's going to give you 6x. So this is going to be one where you're going to subtract them. And you can do it by subtraction. If you were in the live class, I may have shown you how to do kind of a little trick to make this 3x be a negative, and then you can add them together. But I'm going to go with straight subtraction from here. Okay, so from here, we're going to do 3x minus 3x, which is 0. Those are going to cancel. Let's take a look at the next one. We've got negative 4y minus 2y. So be careful with that. That's going to give you a negative 6y. And you can double check in your calculator if you have a hard time with the minus and the negatives and everything. All right, we bring down our equal sign, and over here we've got negative 14 minus negative 2. That's basically like negative 14 plus 2, so negative 12. And then we divide both sides by negative 6, and we get y equals a positive 2. Okay, that is our y variable. Let's plug it back into one of our original equations to solve for x. And you can pick whichever one you want. I'll pick the bottom one. Let's see, 3x plus 2y equals negative 2. This 2 is a y value, so I need to make sure I plug it in for the correct variable, which would be y. So now I've got 3x plus 2 times 2 instead of y equals negative 2, and then from here we solve. 2 times 2 is 4, so this just becomes 3x plus 4 equals negative 2. We subtract 4 from both sides, and we get 3x equals negative 2 minus 4 gives us negative 6. And then, of course, we divide both sides by 3, and we get x equals negative 2. Okay, so then once you have both of those, you can write it as a coordinate somewhere where you have room. You're going to write the x1 first, so negative 2, comma 2. That would be that intersection point. Okay, let's try number 10. So again, the biggest decision is really deciding if you're going to add or subtract these. So take a look at them. My eye goes to the y's because they both have a 3 in front. So I want to somehow cancel these out. Okay, if we add them, if you're not sure, try adding them. If you add them together, what is negative 3y? Negative 3y plus negative 3y. Well, negative 3 plus negative 3 is negative 6y. So that doesn't get canceled out if you use addition. So we are going to have to do subtraction here. Okay, now just for fun, I'm going to show you a different way, and if you were in the live class, we talked about this. If you want to go ahead and do a subtraction problem, go for it. But I want to show you another way that you can turn this into an addition problem if you're up for it, okay? So I would take one of the equations, either one. I'm going to take the bottom one, and all you have to do, y'all, is essentially you're going to multiply the whole equation by a negative 1. I know that seems complicated. Multiplying by a negative 1, don't overthink it. That just changes the sign on everything. So like this positive 4x will become negative 4x, and then it will be plus 3y equals negative 24. So I'm going to bring all of this down. I'm actually going to rewrite the top one first. I want to bring that down too. Just rewrite the problem basically. Now, the bottom equation I'm going to write directly underneath it, but I'm now going to change the sign on all three. So I'm going to make it a negative 4x plus 3y equals at negative 24. And now, because of that one little sign change on the entire bottom equation, I can now turn this into an addition problem, which I prefer because I think addition is easier to work with than subtraction. Because now if you add negative 3y plus a positive 3y, those will cancel out. So that is just the method I prefer. I just wanted to make sure I showed you an example of both ways. On number 9, we did straight subtraction. On number 10, we did the little trick where we changed an equation and turned it into addition. So let's finish this one up. So we'll do 6x plus negative 4x to give us 2x. Oops, I made that kind of big. Let's stay consistent. Okay, 2x, and then bring down your equal sign. 12 plus negative 24 gives me negative 12. And now we're dealing with this equation, 2x equals negative 12. So we divide by 2, and we get x equals negative 6. Now, if you weren't in the actual live class where I taught this, I did not teach this weird little method here. I did not teach it on the note video, okay? So this is new information. This is just a little trick that you can use if you'd like. Or you can do straight subtraction if you prefer that. I'll probably go in and out of each one so you get practice with both. Let's finish up this problem though. I just realized we didn't finish it. I almost made that mistake. Let's bring this over here. And let's plug in our negative 6 to one of the original equations. I will pick the top one. Let's go 6x minus 3y equals 12. And it doesn't matter which equation you pick. And then our negative 6 here is an x value. So make sure you plug that in place of x. So this is 6 times negative 6, and then minus 3y equals 12. Let's do the math. 6 times negative 6 is negative 36. Minus 3y equals 12. And we are solving for y now, so we would want to add the 36 to both sides. Plus 36, so those will cancel. And we get negative 3y equals 48. And then last step, divide by negative 3. So we get y equals negative 16. Okay, you got your x, you got your y. Find some room to write your final answer and make sure you put it in an ordered pair with parentheses, negative 6, comma, negative 16. All right, number 11. Okay, taking a look at this. My eyes go, we're looking at x's and y's basically. My eyes go to the x's because they match each other here. All right. Now if I add x plus x, they don't go away. That gives you 2x. So we know it's not going to be addition. So let's go ahead and just do some traditional subtraction so we get some practice with that. We just got to be careful if you're going to do it this way. Okay, so doing the subtraction method, we would do x minus x, which is just 0, so cancel those out. Then we've got negative 2y minus 3y. And if you struggle with this, put it in your calculator, just leave off the y's. Literally enter into your calculator negative 2 minus 3. Okay, and that's going to give us negative 5y. And that is going to equal, now be careful over here, I have a lot of kids want to put 15, but you also have to subtract on this side. So this is 10 minus 5, which equals 5. All right, and then of course we divide by negative 5. So we get y equals negative 1. All right, let's plug it back in. The last step's usually not the hardest one. Pick either of your original. I'll pick the bottom one just because there's plus signs on it. So x plus 3y equals 5. Now this negative 1 is a y value, so make sure you plug it in for y right here. So we get x plus 3 times negative 1 equals 5. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, so I could write x minus 3 equals 5. And of course we add our 3 to both sides, last step. and we get x equals 8. And then we write our final answer. So that's going to be 8 comma -1. Okay, number 12. Okay, let's analyze it. This is a 2 and a -5. I'm not really concerned with that, but these 3's look good. They match over here, and they're both negative, so you got to start thinking, am I going to add, am I going to subtract? Now, if you add -3 plus -3, that's -6y, so it doesn't get eliminated, so we can't add. I'm going to switch it up one more time. We're going to do subtraction. The standard is you have to subtract, unless you do the little trick that I did in the problem above. And I do want to do that on this one. I see so many negatives. I just think there's a lot of room for error if we subtract. But if you want to subtract, go for it. See if you get the same thing as me. If you don't, you might want to try my method. All right, so my method, once again, is I basically take one of the equations. I'll pick this bottom one, and I multiply everything by a -1, aka I change the sign on everything. So this is going to become a positive 5x plus 3y equals -30. Switch all the signs. And I do rewrite the entire problem. So let me bring the top one down first. 2x minus 3y equals 9. Now I'm going to bring this one down, but with all the signs flipped. So I'm going to make it positive 5x plus 3y equals -30. And then you've got a nicer, easier problem to work with now, because you can do addition. Because see how we changed the sign on these so that when we add them, the -3 and the +3 will just cancel out and go to 0. So let's do that. Let's cancel those guys out. Boom. And let's add everything else together. So we've got a 2x plus 5x, which is just 7x. Oops, let me change my color back. Okay, bring down our equal sign, and then we've got 9 plus -30, which is going to give us -21. And then we solve the equation 7x equals -21 by dividing by 7. So x equals -3. Okay, that's half our answer. Let's get the other half, the easier half now. Let's plug it into, I don't know, let's pick the top equation. Why not? Okay, 2x minus 3y equals 9. And now I'm going to plug -3 in for x, because it is an x value. So that's going to go in right there. Okay, so we got 2 times -3 minus 3y equals 9. 2 times -3 is -6, minus 3y equals 9. And then we solve for y. So still good practice on solving equations. Get rid of the thing furthest from it. So we're going to add 6 to both sides first. And we get -3y equals 15. And then divide both sides by -3. So y equals -5. And where do I have room? I'll just put it like right in the middle here. Okay, so final solution would be the coordinate -3, -5. Boom. Okay, halfway done. Let's see. I almost think they started harder and they're gonna get easier. Let's hope anyway. I think it kind of looks like that actually, so that's good news. All right, number 13, take a look. Now this one's interesting because you could make a case for getting rid of these or getting rid of these. Think about the x's. You can't do addition if you want to get rid of the x's, because if you try that, x plus x is 2x and they don't get eliminated. But if you like addition, look at this. So let's try this. X plus x, you're right, that is 2x. It doesn't get eliminated, but the y's actually will. Positive y plus negative y, that's going to cancel out. That'll go to 0. So this is a good one that we can do with addition. And then equals, then we've got -4 plus 2, which just gives me -2. And then, of course, we divide both sides by 2. So we get x equals -2 divided by 2 would be -1. I always see lots of errors with stuff like that. Okay, let's plug it back in. I will pick the top one. I can't even barely see it. Let me get rid of that. We'll do the x plus y equals -4. Let's make sure you plug this -1 into the correct spot. It is an x value. We plug it in for x. -1 plus y equals -4. I could have put parentheses around it, but usually when I do that, it's when I'm having to multiply the x by a number. Like if I had a 5 out to the side, then I would have put the -1 in parentheses. But there wasn't a number out to the side, so I just plugged it in for x. Okay, solving for y, it's really just one step from here. We can add the 1 to both sides and get y equals -4 plus 1, -3. That one really wasn't too bad. Okay, let's write our answer. So -1, -3. Okay, let's go on to number 14. All right, let's see. Should we do addition or subtraction? I'm going to go with addition. Yeah, this will be a good one for addition because it looks like because we've got the 3's in front of the y, one is positive, one is negative. Those are going to cancel. I'm going to go ahead and cancel them right there. Okay, we got 2x plus x. That's like a 1x. So that is 3x equals 14 plus -11 would become a +3. And then we divide both sides by 3. 3 divided by 3 is just 1. X equals 1. Okay, let's plug it back in and find our y variable. I'm going to use, I guess maybe the bottom equation. That one's a little simpler. So x plus 3y equals -11. Let's plug in that 1 for the x variable. So we get 1 plus 3y equals -11, and we solve for our y variable now. So we know we're going to have to subtract 1 from both sides. And we get 3y equals -11 minus 1 gives me -12. And then we divide, both sides by 3. So y equals -4. All right, so our coordinate is 1, -4. Alrighty, we have just 2 left. Let's jump into these last 2. Okay, let's see here. This one's a pretty obvious addition problem. Thankfully, it looks like maybe we did all the subtraction ones already in the beginning, and now we're doing addition. Let's hope that's the case. All right, if we add these together, we've got a -3x plus 3x, which is going to go to 0. Then we've got a -4y plus a -1y, which would be -5y. And then bring down our equal sign, and then -1 plus -4 is -5. And we divide both sides by -5. There's been a lot of division like this where you get 1 in the end. Because -5 divided by -5, that just equals a +1. Lots of 1s. All right, bring that over here, and I'm going to pick the bottom equation. 3x minus y equals -4. I'm going to be careful that I plug 1 into the correct spot. It is a y value, so 1 is going in for y right here. So I would do 3x minus 1, plug that in for the y, equals -4. And then when we want to solve for x, we would first add this 1 to both sides. So we've got 3x equals -4 plus 1 is -3. Oh my gosh, another 1 situation, if you can see how this is going to happen. Divide by 3, divide by 3. They cancel. X equals, and it is -1 because it's negative divided by a positive. Okay, so we end up with the coordinate -1, 1. All right, last one. Look at all these 1s. Well, I guess there were just a few here. I think maybe there were some in the notes too. Okay, my eyeball goes to the x's over here because they both have a 6. Now, sadly, they have the same sign, so we can't add them, because if we added them, 6 plus 6 is 12. They don't cancel. So we do know this one we will have to subtract. Or we can do the other little trick where we change the signs in one of the equations. I'm going to go ahead and just do straight subtraction so we can practice that. All right, 6x minus 6x is 0, so those will cancel. Now be careful over here. We got 5y minus negative 7y. Okay, that's like 5 minus a negative 7, which is really just like 5 plus 7. Okay, so that is just going to become a positive 12y. Why am I writing so big? Hang on. Positive 12y equals, and then be careful here because it's a 4 minus negative 20, which is like 4 plus 20, so 24. And then we divide both sides by 12. So we get y equals 2. There's our y value. Let's go ahead and plug it in and solve for x. I will use the top equation. So 6x plus 5y equals 4. And I'm going to plug my 2 in for the y variable specifically right in place of it. So 6x plus 5 times 2 equals 4. Simplify that down, so that 6x plus 10 equals 4. And in solving for x, we would subtract the 10 from both sides, which cancels. And we get 6x equals 4 minus 10, which would be negative 6. Wow, more ones. I did not plan it like that. Okay, divide by 6, and you can see what happens here. Why do I keep changing that? We get x equals negative 1. Weird, but it's okay. Okay, solution would be negative 1, comma 2, and boom, you did all of them. Hopefully that went well. You won't do systems of equations for a while. This comes a little bit later. Well, it depends, I guess. It won't be right at the beginning of the year. It'll be later in the semester for sure. And then you will also end up learning the substitution method at some point, but I would rather you have the elimination one mastered first. So, good job, you guys. I will see you for our next lesson.